The boy didn't cry when his parents died. He didn't cry when the man who called himself family turned him into a servant. But the day an old teacher placed a pencil in his hand, a story that everyone thought was over, finally began. Before the sun touched the rooftops of Agita village, a boy was already moving. His feet knew every stone on that path, every dip, every crack in the dry red earth. He had walked it so many times, his body did it without thinking. His name was Nonso, 9 years old, and already tired in a way that children should never be tired. The clay pot on his head was heavy. His arms stayed out slightly at his sides, balancing, always balancing. He passed the mango tree where the old men sat in the evenings. He passed the compound where Mrs. Obiora hung her wrappers out to dry. Then he stopped. He always stopped here. The school gate was still locked at that hour, but through the iron bars he could see the classrooms. The blackboard inside was still clean and waiting. Rows of wooden desks, empty, patient. Nonso pressed his fingers lightly against the gate, just for a moment. Then he adjusted the pot on his head and kept walking. He did not let himself think about it too long. Thinking too long about things you cannot have, that kind of pain has no end. Uncle Ease was awake when Nonso returned. He was sitting outside on his plastic chair, arms folded, eyes sharp. He did not say good morning. He pointed at the firewood that needed splitting. That was how it worked in that compound. No words wasted on softness. Nonso set down the pot carefully, picked up the machete, and began. His uncle had taken him in 4 years ago when both his parents died within the same rainy season. First his father, a sudden illness that the village clinic could not name. Then his mother, who some said died of grief and others said died of the same sickness, and nobody ever really knew. Nonso remembered the day Uncle Ease came to collect him. He remembered thinking, this man is family. Family means something. He was 5 years old then. He understood now, for years later, what that word meant to Uncle Ease. It meant someone to fetch the water. Someone to sweep the compound before the neighbors woke up. Someone to do the work that needed doing before the sun got too high. The village saw how the boy lived. People noticed. But noticing and doing something, those are two different things. And in Agita, people had their own troubles. Nonso was not their trouble. So they looked. And then they looked away. It was a Tuesday evening when Nonso found the exercise book. It was half buried in the pile of rubbish near the back fence. Pages swollen from old rain. The cover torn clean off. He pulled it free. Most pages were ruined. Dark with water damage, the writing dissolved into ghost marks. But near the back, 4 pages. Still clean, still white. Nonso smoothed them flat with his palm. He carried the book to the corner behind the kitchen where he slept. He sat on his mat. He picked up a stick he had burnt at the tip earlier in the fire. He had seen older boys use charcoal to draw, and he began to make marks. He had seen letters on the school wall. A painted alphabet running along the top in fading yellow. He had memorized the shapes without knowing what they sounded like. Now he tried to copy them. His hand was unsteady. The marks came out crooked and too large. He stared at them, rubbed them out with his thumb, tried again. He did not know he was teaching himself. He only knew that something in him would not sit still. Something kept pulling his hand back to the page. Uncle Ease appeared in the doorway. He looked at the book, looked at the stick in Nonso's hand. He crossed the small space in 2 steps and knocked the book from Nonso's hands. It fell open on the dirt floor. Who told you to sit there wasting time? Nonso said nothing. His uncle stood over him a moment longer, then turned and walked back inside. Nonso waited. He listened to the sounds of the compound settling into night. Then he reached down quietly, picked up the book, smoothed the pages again, and continued. Mama Adiz arrived on a Thursday with 1 traveling bag and no announcement. She stepped off the bus at the junction, looked at the road leading into the village, and began to walk. 64 years old, a retired schoolteacher who had spent 31 years in Lagos classrooms, pouring herself into other people's children. She had come home to rest. Her late sister's house sat at the edge of the village compound. Small, solid, with a low ceiling and a guava tree in the front yard. She had arranged for it to be swept out and aired before she arrived. She was not a woman who waited for others to prepare things for her. She set her bag down inside the front room, stood in the quiet, and breathed it in. She had forgotten how a village smelled in the dry season. Dust and wood smoke and something living. She thought, good, this is enough. She was not planning to teach again. That chapter was finished. She had closed it deliberately, the way you close a door on a room you love, with care, with gratitude, knowing you will not go back. She would tend her guava tree. She would sleep past 5 o'clock for the first time in 3 decades. She would be still. The next morning she saw the boy at the well. He was struggling with the rope. It had looped back on itself and the knot had pulled tight and the bucket was stuck halfway down. She watched him for a moment from her gate. He did not call for help. He just kept working at it, quietly, seriously, with a patience that sat wrong on a face so young. She walked over. Without asking, she took hold of the rope above his hands and together they worked the knot loose. The bucket dropped and hit the water below. He looked up at her. Thank you, Ma. What is your name? Nonso. Who are your people, Nonso? He told her his father's name, his mother's name. She had not known them well. She had left for Lagos before he was born. But she nodded. Do you go to school? He looked at the ground, just for a second, but she saw it. She had been a teacher for 31 years. She knew what that look meant. She pulled the bucket up herself, handed it to him, and walked back to her gate. She did not say anything else. But inside her house, she sat at the table for a long time. The guava tree, the sleep past 5, the stillness she had promised herself. She sat with all of it. And then she stood up, straightened her blouse, and began to think. She went to Uncle Isa's compound that same afternoon. She introduced herself properly. Her full name, her late sister's name, her years in Lagos. Uncle Isa received her in the way men like him receive older women, with just enough respect to seem decent. She told him she would like to teach the boy in the evenings, basic reading and numbers, nothing that would take him away from his duties. Uncle Isa looked at her. He shrugged. As long as my work gets done, that boy's evenings are nothing to me. She thanked him. She walked home at a steady pace. Nothing in her face gave anything away, but her hand, when she pushed open her own gate, was trembling slightly. Not from fear, from something else entirely.
Like and subscribe to our channel. Someone needs to hear this.
The first lesson happened that same evening. Nonso arrived at Mama Adi's door just after sunset. He had washed his face and hands. His shirt was still torn at the shoulder, but he had tucked it in. That small effort, she noticed it. She did not comment on it. She simply pulled out the chair across from her and said, "Sit." A candle stood between them on the table. She placed a clean exercise book in front of him, then a pencil, sharpened to a fine point. He looked at them the way a hungry person looks at food set before them in a strange house, like he was not sure yet if it was truly for him. "Pick up the pencil," she said. He picked it up, and they began. She started with his name, N-O-N-S-O. She said each letter aloud, wrote it clearly, slid the book toward him. He copied it slowly. His grip was too tight. His letters leaned and wobbled. She did not wince. She did not sigh. She tapped the page gently. Again. He wrote it again. Better. Again. He wrote it a third time. She looked at it for a moment. "That is your name," she said. "No one can ever take that from you now. You have written it yourself." Something moved across his face that was not quite a smile and not quite tears. He swallowed it down and looked up at her. "What is next?" She almost smiled. "Everything," she said. "Everything is next." They met every evening after that, 6 days a week. He came straight from his chores, sometimes still smelling of wood smoke, sometimes with dirt at his elbows, but he always came. He was never late. In 3 weeks, he knew the full alphabet. In 5 weeks, he was sounding out simple words. In 8 weeks, he was reading full sentences. Numbers came slower, but they came. He liked patterns. He liked when things followed rules. One evening, he cried. She had given him a subtraction problem, and he could not get it. He tried 4 times, got it wrong 4 times. Then his chin dropped and his shoulders pulled inward and the tears came quietly, without sound. the way children cry when they have learned that crying loudly brings trouble. She waited until he looked up. The fact that it is hard means your mind is working. Easy things teach you nothing. Try again. He wiped his face with the back of his wrist. He looked at the problem. He tried again. He got it. She wrote him 3 more exactly like it. Now do these, so your mind knows it was not luck. He did all 3 without stopping. 3 months after that first evening, Mama Adiz paid his school fees from her pension and walked him to the headmaster herself. The morning Nonso walked through that iron gate for the first time, he stood still just inside the entrance. Children in blue and white uniforms everywhere. Noise, movement, a bell ringing. He was older than most of his classmates. Some looked at him when he sat down. He looked back steadily. Then he opened his book. His teacher noticed him within 2 weeks. Not because Nonso raised his hand often, because when he was called on, he always knew. He did not perform for anyone. He simply worked. Every evening still at Mama Adiz's table even after school had started. She pushed him further than his class required. Books 1 level ahead. Questions his teachers had not thought to ask yet. "I want you ready," she told him once, "for the room after the next room." By the end of his first term, he was first in his class. By the end of his second term, still first. By his third term, his teacher, Mr. Boniface, stopped checking his work for errors and started using it as the example for the rest of the class. Uncle Ease heard about it from neighbors. He said nothing to Nonso, but he stopped waking him before sunrise. That was the only language he knew for something that felt uncomfortably close to respect. It was Mama Adiz who found the notice in an old newspaper. The Anambra State Government Primary School Scholarship Competition. Open to all pupils in public primary schools. 1 winner. Full scholarship through secondary school. She read it twice. She cut it out carefully with a kitchen knife along the edges. She placed it on the table that evening when Nonso arrived. He read it slowly. He looked up at her. "Me, you," she said. "The other children will be from bigger schools. Schools with more teachers. More books." "Yes," she said. "So why me?" She leaned forward slightly. "Because those children have been given everything and will do well. You have been given almost nothing, and you are still doing better. That is not the same thing, Nonso. That is something else entirely." He looked back at the paper. He nodded once. "Teach me what I need to know." They prepared for 6 weeks. Every evening, sometimes past midnight when Uncle Ease was asleep and the compound was silent. She drilled him on mathematics, comprehension, general knowledge, essay writing. She gave him past questions from competitions she had kept in a folder from her Lagos years. She timed him, corrected him, pushed him. He never complained. He never asked to stop. The morning of the competition, he wore a clean white shirt Mama Adiz had bought from the market and pressed with a coal iron the night before. He stood at her door before leaving. She straightened his collar. She did not tell him to win. She said, "Show them what quiet work looks like." He walked to the junction and boarded the bus to Oka alone. She went inside and sat down, and she did not move from that chair for a very long time. The results came 3 weeks later. A letter delivered to the school addressed to Nonso Obi. Mr. Boniface held it up in front of the whole class. He opened it slowly. He read it once to himself. Then he looked up and found Nonso's face in the 3rd row. He said nothing for a moment. Then, "First place." The classroom erupted. Children who had once looked sideways at the older boy with the calloused hands were now on their feet. Nonso sat still, his hands flat on the desk, his eyes steady. He was not performing stillness. He simply needed a moment for the words to find their way fully inside him. First place. Full scholarship. He thought of a burnt stick on 4 clean pages behind a kitchen. He thought of the iron gate he used to press his fingers against every morning. He thought of her. He stood up, picked up his bag, walked to the door. Mr. Boniface called after him. "Where are you going?" "We are still in class." "I need to tell someone," Nonso said, and he ran. He ran the whole way to her house. He pushed through her gate and she was already standing in the doorway, as if something in her had known. He stopped in front of her, breathing hard, the letter crushed in his fist. He held it out to her. She took it. Read it. Her hands began to shake. She pressed the letter against her chest and closed her eyes. When she opened them, they were full. "I knew," she whispered. "From the very first evening. I knew." Nonso stood in her doorway, 11 years old, scholarship in hand. And for the first time in as long as he could remember, he felt like someone's.
Like and subscribe to our channel. Someone needs to hear this.